Something's going on, something's brewing.
Slavs, have we lost our minds or what? I suggest we all just stand up and revolt. Don't stay silent, talk about this on your blogs.
All across Russia, people want to stage a mass uprising against the authorities. It's already March 29th, and soldiers are being urged to leave Ukraine.
You were deliberately sent there so you couldn't stand up to these officials, these deputies, who are doing things that are just things so outrageous you can't even wrap your head around them.
The strikes keep coming. The Russian air defense systems are actually striking their very own citizens on the ground. It is just unbelievable.
I'm fine. Just take a look at this. It is an absolute nightmare.
Shoigu is shouting about the danger and praising Ukrainian drone operators. Solovyov is panicking. There's simply no money.
No money.
The internet is being shut off. Putin's grannies are coming back. And those who don't want to give birth, to the madhouse. It'll be interesting to talk about reality in Russia. Let's go. Things are still happening in Russia. Oil depots are burning. Like in Labinsk, where they still can't put out the fuel tanks after the drone strikes. Things have been pretty tense lately in Krasnodar Krai. Some kind of debris is flying around.
But the smell, of course, is right there on the plains. It's like something happened. There's smoke over there.
Something's up. It's another attack. But there's a catch. Russian air defense has started hitting Russians themselves. Fragments from air defense missiles landed right on residential buildings.
It's just blazing. Look at this, what a nightmare. I don't know, are people even running away from there or not? Damn, it's an empty scene. There was some kind of shift change. It's just horrifying. That's why I heard the explosion, but I didn't understand what caused it. I woke up damned because of the explosion. Oh, unbelievable.
Well, Russia's air defense is working very actively, just not in the right direction. But now all regions of Russia will be waking up to explosions. That's what Shoigu himself said. He stated that now every region of Russia is in danger because drones are reaching them.
If before we spoke exclusively about terrorists, exclusively about saboteurs, now we're talking about the fact that behind them stand large, experienced, well-equipped, and well-trained forces. Sabotage services from many, many countries. Those who today oppose us with their own systems, intelligence agencies with their own communication systems, their own control systems, and all the sophistication that comes with them. And here, starting from unmanned strike vehicles, regardless of whether these are maritime, aerial, or ground-based operations, and of course, as you might expect, systemic weapons, I mean cruise missiles, ballistic missiles. A tremendous amount of work is being done here. By order of the president of our country, all ministries and agencies have been involved.
He says that the Urals until recently was a safe region, but now even there it's dangerous. So to speak, he summed up the results of the special military operation.
Stability is extremely important. And
while Shoigu is praising Ukrainian drone operators, the Russian ones are clearly backing down. Here's an example, one of them.
Well, it is becoming increasingly obvious to me that you still don't really know who I am as a person. And you certainly don't understand the many different parts of my life that have shaped me into the individual I am today.
It's a pity the drone isn't a combat one, but now there are very few combat drones left there. As Solovyov stated, soon there won't even be anything left to fight with at all. There's not even enough money for defense contracts.
Everyone involved with the military-industrial complex right now knows there's no money and you're being told to downsize. We can't afford that. Then why is that? Because they've run the economy into the ground. What are you suggesting we fight with? Please tell me. Everyone at the front is yelling at me. They need, say, Mavics over there. But you have to pay for them and deliver them. With what money? The demand is enormous, but there's no money. There are no orders. The front says, give us some, but there's no cash. Look at Iran as an example. They have giant underground factories built by the Koreans. Well, at least the depot. And how many mines do we have in Donbass? They could be repurposed and used for production. But you still need money. What are we going to fight with? Muzin's rifles have already run out.
What exactly is the nature of this censorship? If even this particular individual is discussing so candidly and openly about money live on air.
There's no money. And
It seems like the Bolotnaya crowd has started to use their brains.
Well, guys, today we finally got a response from Ukraine, the one we've been begging them for so long. Today they hit our Bryansk. Big time. A ton of destruction, debris everywhere, lots of direct hits, lots of casualties, hundreds of people injured. So, the silicon plant, the slippers it produced, some components for air defense systems, gone. Basically, there's no electricity, the connection is spotty. We're sitting here by candlelight. My fellow countrymen are outraged in the comments in their posts. They're posting angry messages. Why us? But why were you all so hypocritical? When Akhmadid was hit, you didn't shout, why them? What about when our missiles hit Ukrainian kindergartens? No, you didn't shout, why them, then did you? Or Ukrainian maternity hospitals?
It's not just the lack of money. Now the internet outages are starting to really get to Russians. They're ready to protest. Now this is a dangerous move. Lawyer and blogger Ilya Remezlo, who used to write denunciations against Navalny, is suddenly publicly calling for Putin to be put on trial. And then he proved that he hadn't been hacked. He recorded a video.
Hello everyone, friends. I read through the comments on my post. Everyone is telling me that I was hacked. No, I wasn't hacked. I wrote everything myself. So there can't be two opinions about this. And I'm surprised by such a strong reaction. What do we have? What do we have here? Can you imagine what we've come to? Now even just criticizing the president. Moderate criticism in my opinion. I didn't call for any violent actions or anything like that strictly within the law. It provokes such a strange, intense reaction. And you know, friends, there's another paradox. Look, if Putin really surrounded himself with people who criticize him, who aren't afraid to tell him the truth, who are competent and not just stealing money, then he could be much more effective, for example, in waging war in Ukraine. He could do a lot of things, strengthen his power and so on. In other words, he would be a much more dangerous person. But he's afraid to surround himself with such people, isn't he? It's a paradox. And because of this, he's becoming weaker and weaker. Year after year, you can see what's happening now. There's complete chaos and disorder going on. I can already see clear signs of the system's impending collapse. Precisely because Putin is afraid to surround himself with worthy rivals, with people who could compete with him, that's exactly why he will lose power. And this will most likely happen either this year or in 2026.
What's interesting is that not so long ago he was pro-Putin.
After talking with Ilya myself, I realized that he's a very reasonable guy who is a true patriot of Russia. And of course, I'm very glad that there are such worthy people in our country.
Or maybe just to side with him. But he's not the only one who's against it. Public outrage is growing because of the Kremlin's decisions.
Today in the center of Moscow, I was getting messages on Telegram. It's not even the fact that irritates me now. I just don't know why this is happening. Is it Telegram being blocked, bad signal in Moscow, my VPN lagging, forgetting to toggle the VPN, or just not topping up my phone? Checking all these hypotheses takes so long I even tried catching a pigeon in Moscow, but that didn't work. I wanted to send a message, but it was shot down by air defense.
So yes, it's hard to believe, but the rebellion against the authorities has already started among Russians. Because the authorities have started to seize and eliminate all the livestock that people keep in the regions.
Have you seen what's happening in the Siberian region? This morning, when you saw it on Instagram.
My entire feed is filled with news about livestock being killed and burned somewhere.
Without any investigation, not even letting people do any tests.
Fine, price hikes, higher utility bills. We can put up with all that, swallow it. But this is just total foxing insanity.
Now they're killing people's livestock. And
they didn't go to the agro-industrial complex for the operation.
But when it comes to ordinary workers, they can just come and burn everything to the ground. No problem.
This is a crime against the people, not against the livestock. In
the news, there's nothing. On VK, there's nothing. On Odnoklasniki, there's nothing. Am I
right in thinking that the bans and slowing down of social networks are so that people can't report what's really happening?
I'm a patriot. My husband fears the special operation. Sabotage is happening in our country, and telegrams being blocked. I'm talking about the mass killing of animals in Siberia.
Slavs. Did we fuck or what? I
Suggest that everyone just stand up and revolt.
don't stay silent. Talk about this in your blogs. And
Now, online, Russians are calling on everyone to go out into the city squares and protest against the Putin regime and against internet restrictions. The bald guy really overestimated himself, wanted it to be like in Korea, but it's just not working out.
In an openly rude manner. This is the same manifestation of that colonial mindset.
But the story with the livestock doesn't end there. The authorities in the Russian Federation have lost their minds so much that now they're even after the little ones. They're threatening to take them from their homes because they complain.
We have a family, and if they take all this away from us now, we'll be left homeless. I have a disabled child with cerebral palsy. The money they pay him for treatment isn't enough for us.
Now it's either take down the complaint video or lose my son.
The juvenile affairs authorities have taken an interest in her. If I don't delete these videos, then accordingly, her child will be taken away. All my worst thoughts are being confirmed, that there is pressure from all sides to shut me up and stop me from filming our citizens who are genuinely being threatened with losing their income. And
This is all while they're supposedly fighting for demographic growth. By the way, there are some new antics from the Ministry of Health. Russians who refuse to have children will now be sent for psychiatric evaluation. Like, what's up with that? They don't want to have children? Well, that's genius, but that's not even all. Ordinary citizens have started recording messages to Russian soldiers, urging them to abandon the Ukrainian front lines and fight not against Ukrainians, but against the Russian authorities.
you were deliberately sent there so you couldn't stand up to these officials, these deputies who are doing things that are simply beyond comprehension. Come back, men, return here and stand up to defend the people. Enough with staying silent. Enough with just watching this lawlessness unfold.
And appealing to the president is pointless. What kind of president is he if he doesn't know or see what's happening in his own country?
Oh, he knows and sees everything. It's just that you haven't realized yet that this is all his doing. But that's okay, everything in due time. I wonder if they'll get their way or if it'll end up like in North Korea. And you know, North Korea isn't without its own cringe-worthy moments. Can you imagine? They held elections there. They were electing a new convocation of deputies. And guess which party won? In Russia, just like in Korea, we're not far from a controlled internet either. The Max Messenger, there's proof of that. For example, students aren't even given their diplomas anymore because they don't register in Max. By the way, the messenger itself turned out to be smarter than Russians. It recognizes Crimea as Ukraine and Donetsk as planet Earth. And it will also automatically subscribe you to Solovyov's channel. Yes, so you won't be able to unsubscribe from this propaganda anymore. That's why priests decided to fight it another way, by lighting candles for the repose of the messenger. The Russian Orthodox Church also loves Telegram.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
In case you forgot, let me remind you, they still exist. Yes, Putin's grannies. Despite the outrage, they keep churning out content. Everything's going smoothly for them.
Girl, so where are you from? We were out on business. Yes, we were out on business. So strong, aren't we? The outfit is extraordinary. Yes, yes, yes. We want to be trendy in trend. That's us. The outfit is extraordinary, especially mine. How is that even possible? Well, that's just how we are. All business, always busy, so glamorous. And we got everything done. The main thing is we did it all. Thank you, thank you. And everyone liked us. Excellent. You've really got your knees showing, huh? Well, of course it is. It really is quite lovely. You are such a stylish fashionista.
Oh, these sinners. Patriotism or idiocy, it's hard to tell. But in Kursk, entrepreneur Alexander Sisoev also decided to rebel a little. He suggested removing the Latin Z from the sign Kursk for victory to comply with the law on the protection of the Russian language.
The authorities who came up with this are breaking the law. In the center of the city of Kursk, there's a sign that says Kursk for victory. Let's remove that evil letter Z. It's illegal after all. A fine should be imposed on those who put it up. Send it to the Kursk Region Prosecutor's Office. We're posting and sending this video and letter.
Well, he kind of went overboard. Someone reported him to the investigative committee, so to speak, to keep him in line. So is it patriotism or idiocy? They shout so pompously about the decaying West that they completely forget the fact that without the West, they would have fallen apart long ago. So to wrap up, check out this video showing what the pride of a typical narrow-minded person looks like.
He shaved with an American razor, washed his face with French soap, boiled water in a German kettle, and poured it into a Polish teacup. Brazilian coffee, put on an Italian suit, sprayed himself with French perfume, locked his Chinese front door with an English lock. He got into a German car, inserted a disc by a British rock band into the Japanese car stereo, arrived at an office building constructed by Turkish builders, parked the car in a secured lot with a Canadian video surveillance system, took a Finnish elevator to the 5th floor, entered the office marked Governor's PR Department, turned on an American computer, opened a browser in an American operating system with Israeli security, and logged into a network created by Americans. The internet, typed the web address of an American social network in English. Thank you. He logged into his account and typed in all caps, "We won't let the West enslave us."
That's all for now. We're not saying goodbye. Tomorrow we'll show you a new batch of action on our channel. Give us a like and subscribe. We'll provide you with interesting content.